Chapter 2. Herbal Skills. A month after Alban Heroin, the summer solstice, 819. Boswin can have an acid tongue at times, but he seems willing to answer my questions. That's more than my previous mentors would do. Lord Boswin, I start. So, what have you done this time, Grammy? Nothing. Then what is it you want? Nothing, Lord. Then why do you start by using my formal title, if not to ask for forgiveness or a boon? It's only that I wish to ask a question, and I fear that you will judge me stupid. You are stupid, he says quickly. It is my job to change that, so ask whatever questions you will. I must learn not to ask him questions before our midday meal. He's never agreeable until well after midday. I asked my father once why the month ends on the full moon, and not the moonless night. He told me it was because that had always been the way of it. In your vast years of learning, have you come across a better answer? Vast years of learning? Your father is a farmer, I suspect. He was. Well, for a farmer, that's the right answer. Part of a druid's job is to give the right answer and not necessarily the complete answer. But, as a druid, you should know more. When does the new year begin? Samhain. And the first half of the year is known as the dark half, although some mistakenly call it the dark year, correct? Yes, of course. And the day, it starts at sundown, no? Yes, it does, I say, warily. So the first half of each day begins in darkness, and the first half of the year is when we have the least amount of daylight, also favouring darkness. So too does the month start as the moonlight starts to wane, namely the day after the full moon. After the night without the moon goddess, the second half of the month begins. Anya's glory then steadily waxes, and, just like the year and the day, the month ends in brightness. In this case, the full moon. This is how we make sense of the world. Thank you, I say. Expressing my impatience for his long-winded answer will get me nowhere. He catches me rolling my eyes, but he flashes me a mischievous grin instead of a reprimand. Are you ready to meet another member of the Nine? Really? Where are we going? Cain Vordaras? Menmurakov Key? We are not going to any of the holy sites today, not even our own. But if you look off to the northwest, at that Merlin, I believe one of the Nine is coming to pay us a call. Really? Which one? I can't keep my excitement out of my voice. We've spent the last 5 months together, and the only other person I've spoken to is the kindly old woman below the moorland who prepares our dinners each night. Who, indeed? His eyes twinkle with mischief. Perhaps if you can name them. You, Loris, Marod, and give the holy site they are charged with protecting, he adds. I frown at him. When I start again, he'll interrupt me and have me include the people's name for each site as well. I won't give him the chance. Lord Loris is the head druid and protector of Nematon Daiwil Deru, the holy oak grove of Inis Mona, and the gift of the elves. You are the protector of Menantol, the gift of the pixies. Tuckabriwa is Drustin's place, and the giant's gift should remind us to always work with nature. Marod protects Keem Vadaras, the gateway to Lirs and Meluzine's watery expanse. Sinbel and his plains druids protect the giant's choir, Menmurakov Key. The Gwanwins of Sulis are Egan's abode, and the hot springs provide healing waters to the penitent. All of the great druids find their final resting place at Brennan Cairn, and Braddon oversees the site. Only 2 left, and you have not yet named our visitor, Boswin taunts. Let's move out onto the moor, so the fool doesn't fly past us. I stumble, leaving the camp, but I hardly notice. Let's see, I pause. The bird is getting very close now. Hedrid is the protector of Ogof Koru, the underground realm of caves, I say, a little too loudly. Boswin's eyes dance in amusement. Apparently, the last to be named is our visitor. The bird is circling us in a wide arc rather than landing. This lord must be acquainted with Boswin and his ways of instructing. And Lord Caradoc is the protector of Ardry Bryn Cadwy, the tomb of the old king. I managed to get the words out in a flurry. Above us, the merlin lets out a short chirp before restarting its lazy descent. In the intervening time, I ask a question that I've often wondered. Lord Boswin, I start. He raises one eyebrow at me again, but I continue anyway. Who was the old king? He shrugs. Nobody knows. No man could have ruled when the elder races were still here, I say. When, in the last 819 years, did a single man rule all of Brittany? You should ask Caradoc these questions. If anyone knows, it would be him. I look back at our humble camp. Why didn't he tell me about this sooner, so I could have tried to make our camp presentable? If he's staying the night, we'll need more wood and water. Should I get them now? Grami, relax. Caradoc was once a student of mine, and he was nearly as hard-headed as you. I doubt time has softened that characteristic overly much. If we need more wood, then Caradoc will collect his share. The merlin completes 2 downward circles, dropping to within an arm's length of the ground. The bird changes into a middle-aged druid with long curls of brown hair. On landing, his momentum carries him forward to Boswin. He grasps the old druid's hand and leans in closer to whisper a message. Boswin gives no reaction to the news. Caradoc nods his head at me in greeting. Unlike Boswin, his robes are clean and untattered. I saw you from a league away, Boswin chuckles. One day I will surprise you when I visit. How could you tell it was Lord Caradoc? I ask. Could you sense him? Only the Sorim can sense another's mind, and even then not while we are in animal form. Since he was upwind, I couldn't smell him like normal. Alas, the secret is that he is a lazy flyer, and his half-hearted upstrokes always give him away. You and your lies. Do you ever tell the truth, you old fox? Only when I have no other choice, Boswin answers, smiling. This, I presume, is young Grami. Now that he's focused on me, I struggle to figure out what to do with my arms. They start to sway, so I pull them up across my chest. No good. Now he'll think I'm put off by him. I drop them and interlock my fingers behind my back. It is my honour to meet a great one, I say. Is this how he speaks to you? Caradoc asks Boswin. Hardly. But then I don't lord the fact that I'm a member of the Nine over him, as some do. Shall we get on to business before my protégé faints in your presence? Boswin asks. To business, then, Caradoc says. Loris is quite vexed with you. You have put him in a hard spot. He is the great Druid. Does he expect anything less? Boswin asks. Are you talking about Loris, our head Druid? I ask in amazement. They exchange quick smiles at my interruption. How I wish instead it was some insignificant oaf named Loris, but yes, we are, Boswin says. He changes his stance to let me know that he is conversing with Caradoc now. I risk a rebuke by staying within earshot. It's worth it to hear more about the Council of Nine. I miss your insights at Innis Mona. The weather and conversation somehow feel colder up north when you're not present. Why do you withhold your voice? Caradoc asks. Boswin turns to face me. I give him my best innocent expression. Grami, we will speak on many topics, only some of which are true, and none of any interest to an acolyte. Can you prepare a liniment to ease Caradoc's sore shoulders? He would like to apply it himself at dinner, so he can rest easy tonight. How do you know that Lord Caradoc's shoulders are sore? I ask. Gwalitha never taught me how to observe so quickly. Easy. Caradoc has had bad flying technique since he was your age, and that was quite a long time ago. You would probably get more guests, Caradoc says, if you didn't readily insult them as soon as they arrive. Boswin smiles at me. Caradoc is a master of deflecting conversations rather than admitting his faults. He holds up a hand to forestall a reply from Caradoc. Grami, please see to the liniment. We will be doing this all night long. Yes, Mentor, by dinner. I bow slightly, and without another word, change into a Merlin of my own, and fly out over the heather-filled field. Boswin had not mentioned what herbs to use, but he didn't have to. Gwalitha may be a pompous ass, but he knew his herb lore. The elderflower would aid in the bone ache, the willow will reduce the inflammation, and the cotton sedge will restore Lord Caradoc's vigour. That's more than what was requested. A cold breeze from the west ruffles my feathers. It is a harbinger for a harsh change in the weather. Already the fog is building below me. I have only a small sliver of time before the dense fog races over the moor. I manage the elderflower and willow easily enough. The cotton sedge only grows around the bogs, and they collect the fog and hold it tight. I will not be so easily deterred. I select the best young shoots and start my return to camp. Even my keen eyes can barely see the sun poking through the mist. Locating the camp in this fog is an issue I had not considered. I have but a little time to make the poultice. I fly high, higher than the tallest tors, since I'd rather not brain myself running into one. Luckily, I spot the tip of an oak breaking through the mist. There are very few trees on the moor, and all of them line the banks of the western River Dart, so I must be nearly to camp. I change to a bat so I can navigate through the unseen trees and boulders. I find the camp, but not the Druids. The firewood is damp. I overlook the need to start a fire, and there's little chance now. I grind the leaves and the sedge. Without fire, I will need a sour component to better release the medicines, but it's too late to hunt for it now. Disgusted with myself, I grab a bit of soil to thicken it to a balm. I add the flowers last and ready myself for failure. Tiny drops of oil rise to the top of my concoction. The liquid is starting to bloom. I taste the soil. It's slightly sour to the taste. Why hadn't I discovered this before? I can sour cook the herbs. I add more soil and rub the sides of the small cup to produce what heat I can. I thank the many gods for my good fortune. From the sheen on top, I can see that the potency has been released. It's time for dinner, yet still there is no sign of them. I add a bit more soil to thicken the slurry. With any luck, the sour cooking will continue. I change into a long-eared bat. I have always found the animals' navigation to be the most precise, and their hearing is superior. I soar up and head for Boswin's favourite residence, the moor ponies. They are feeding in the open on this cool, still night. I hear the Druids before I can see their fire. Perhaps I will get a warm meal after all. I land behind them on the tor and wait but an instant. It would never do to spy on two great Druids, but I wouldn't want to interrupt them either. I'm afraid you gave too stern of a test to the lad, Boswin, and now I'm left in a difficult spot. Perhaps I did. He has not had much time to learn the weather goddess's fickle moods, and I fear that I sabotaged him from the start. Perhaps we should go back to the camp. Now is my moment. I glide down and change back to myself. If you do, you will find it empty and a mess. I stride confidently into their view. I apologize for not cleaning up, but it seems that you added a new wrinkle by not telling me where you would be waiting. Caradoc stares wide-eyed at me. Boswin is clapping as he gazes proudly at me. Lord Caradoc, I present you the poultice you require, I say with a bow. You will need some cloth to hold it in place on a cold, wet evening like tonight. And what did you put in this? Boswin asks, having regained his taskmaster tone. I found fresh willow leaves from the eastern slopes of the moor to reduce the swelling, new elder flowers from near the old copper mine tunnels in the southwest for your bone ache, and cotton sedge from around the northern bogs for energy. When I arrived at camp, it was too damp for a fire, so I sour-cooked the herbs with the soil until the blooming began. I'm sorry that I could not do better for you, Lord Caradoc. Caradoc is dumbfounded. If this poultice alleviates any part of my pain, I will be amazed. Now tell me, how did you find us? He signals for me to sit by the fire opposite them. I couldn't see in this fog, so I selected a long-eared bat so I could avoid running into trees or outcrops and hear you. No fire and no visibility, and yet he still delivers on time. He faces Boswin. You must have improved on your instruction. He did well, Boswin confirms. You will give Loris no choice, I assume. He insisted on having a stern test, and Grami has passed easily. You will get your way, as always, Caradoc replies. Will I get to meet the head druid? I ask. At some point you undoubtedly will, Boswin says, without excitement. But not any time soon. Since you have clearly passed your test, I will tell you why Caradoc has come. He shakes his head skyward to show his distaste. It seems Masters Gwaltha and Arthayan have decided to go around me and ask the head druid to expel you from our order. Oh, my heart drops into my stomach. The move is unprecedented, Caradoc says. Each lord has total control of his area. Only a vote by the entire Council of 9 could undo a lord's decision. Is that why you didn't go to the special council meeting on the summer solstice? I asked Boswin. No. Now, if you two don't mind, the Lord Protector of this land would like to finish his speaking without more interruptions. He frowns at both of us, even as Caradoc grins back. My reasons for not attending the last meeting will remain my own. Loris's pretensions of being master of us all aside, I agreed to have you tested in order to see how well you would use your many skills without my constant direction. Your work is beyond what is expected, but even if you had failed, I would not have allowed you to be dismissed. Can I attend you at the next gathering in the fall? The 9 Lord Druids meet every spring and fall, right after the equinoxes. I joined Lord Boswin well after the spring meeting, but that meeting is only for the 9 anyway. Cantum Lijank's Kuros is the full site for the council meeting, and all druids and students can attend. Several advanced acolytes are given the white robes of a full druid at the event. I have wanted to attend the meeting for years, but Gwaltha and Arthayan would not allow it. I cannot speak to that now. Unfortunately, Caradoc and I must speak on topics of the 9. Could you await us at the camp? This shouldn't take long. Of course, Master. I keep my voice neutral, though it stings to be sent away again. He means that we will start talking unkindly about the other 7 once you are out of earshot, Caradoc says. As you say, Bosman replies with a laugh. I understand. I will take a bit of fire with me, if you don't mind. I grab a thick branch from the fire. I walk quickly away until I'm out of sight. I take off, running to camp, and start the fire. I throw extra wood on it and stuff any mess from camp in my hut. I stop and listen closely, but the fog has deadened any noise. Master Arthayan taught me long ago that owls collect sounds by their flat faces and funnel it toward their ears. It was one of the few things the old fool said worth hearing. Ever since then, I have considered owls the pinnacle of avian perfection. I take on the tawny owl form and silently fly back toward the druid lords. I land atop the tor. The blanket of fog will hide me from their eyes and their ears. And what did Loris say? Loris decided that the situation was too nuanced to decide from afar. That's why he sent me. So he still avoids making decisions. He is, as always, worried about the political ramifications. He's the head druid. Short of being challenged and defeated, he can't lose his spot. Still, he has decided to have another make the decision, once that wise individual is finished collecting information. So I must wait for some lapdog of Loris to decide, Boswin asks, laughter in his voice. A lapdog, am I? Why is it that your insults were rare when I was your student, but now that I am your equal, you give me nothing else? When you were a student, you needed to have your confidence boosted. Now that you are older, you need to have your humility encouraged. Age has done plenty of that, I assure you. Caradoc rotates his left arm in circles, grimacing as he holds onto his shoulder. I don't recall an abundance of praise when I was at your knee. So your mind has gone as soft as your stomach. Caradoc laughs off the insult, before he turns serious and changes the subject. And what did Egan say? They must be talking about Lord Egan, another of Boswin's former students. He's known far and wide as the preeminent healer on Brittany. Hence, he is the protector of the healing hot springs. He agreed with my assessment. The air is gusting from behind me. For them, the Tor is acting as a windbreak. For me, the chill in the air is undeniable. My feathers rise to trap in more body heat. Still, I wouldn't leave this perch now for anything less than freezing rain. How much time? A couple of months, maybe a bit more. Will he be ready? He's ready now. And you are still going forward with your plan? Caradoc stirs up the fire before adding the last of their kindling. Yes. He will never forgive you for this, Caradoc says. He will. Once you use your rhetorical flourishes on my behalf. He will feel betrayed, and that is not something that can be explained away with a few sympathetic words. Even if you're right, I'm committed to my plan. He is a rare talent, the best at his craft since Bodmin. Caradoc rolls his head back and his shoulders follow. Must I hear about your ancestor again? The old stories of Bodmin are all true. He was the greatest animorph this isle has ever produced. And he abandoned his brethren, Caradoc says, exasperated. Multiple times. Bodmin was a famous druid from centuries ago, but everyone invokes his name with either anger or sadness. Who is he talking about being nearly as good as Bodmin? I'd love to see this druid embarrass Arthian in an animal duel. You know the old stories as well as I do. Did he have much choice? It was a sad time, no doubt, Caradoc says agreeably, if only to stave off a Boswin ramble. My mentor idly inspects one of the multitude of spots on his robe. So I assume that Loris has not taken my warning about the Obsidian Lord of Solent Keep seriously. He has his doubts. He's not heard of any such calamities occurring on the mainland. Ah yes, the mainland again. Why did the man leave there if he's so fond of it? Boswin asks. One suspects they were not sufficiently deferential to his august presence. Boswin stirs the fire. Does anyone think that after the Obsidian Lord led the Sorim of Innis Luco to take over Solent Keep, that he would be content to rule a single city? That mage has bigger plans. Mark my words. And his plans revolve around obtaining a silly flower? Caradoc asks. Have you ever seen one before? No. The scarcity is a sign of its power. Loris was not the least bit concerned about this. Boswin lowers his head into his hands. Why did we let Loris become our leader? It could have been yours if... I won't re-argue the decision. Boswin waves away Caradoc's scolding. We needed more time and more knowledge if we were to make a better choice, and we had neither available to us. Or an ally in possession of a backbone. Don't start now. Hedrid has always desired consensus, and he's right. A divided 9 would be worse in the long run. Hedrid must be the protector of the caves of Ogof Koru. Everyone agrees he's a strange one, but I guess you'd have to be if you choose to live your entire life underground. Apparently, he's the waffling type too. Forgive me, Caradoc says in a flat voice. I'll have to remember to count our blessings that we have a self-aggrandizing fool as our leader, and not you. Startled, I let out a soft hoot without thinking. Boswin was in line to be the next head druid, and he turned it down. I adjust my head left and right to make sure I heard correctly. The wind changes direction, and it begins to bite the druids below. Boswin stands and stretches. I, for one, do not wish to sit here in the cold and listen to two old men complain about past injustices. Come, let's rejoin Grami, before idleness causes him to do something unfortunate. The two druid lords kick dirt on the fire, and I quickly take flight. It would never do for them to find out that I've been eavesdropping.